Welcome to Broadcast, the podcast from Kickstarter 102.4, our YouTube channel. Yes, indeed. What a week on Kickstarter it has been. Oh my goodness me. There's only really one game this week that I was like, bad. Yeah, we'll be looking at Slaughterville 3, which is really an expansion to Slaughterville, an amazing horror game. This is really an expansion, but you got a good chance to get the original game here and the other expansion too. Anyway, Sleeping Dogs with a standalone expansion, Distant Skies. Ooh, this is also looking very good. Anastyr from Mythic Games, a big game from them, a side-scrolling like action arcade type dice rolling chuckamukba. Yep, that's here. Assault on Doomrock, the Ultimate Edition board game. Wow, this is my Kickstarter of the week just because of its madcap, crazy, off-the-wall humour and an adventure game unlike anything I have on my shelf. The Quest Kids, Big Bad of Tulk's Cave expansion. The Quest Kids, the most overrated bloody Kickstarter for a kids game. Absolutely terrible. Calls itself a dungeon crawler. Ha! You'll hear my comments on that later on in the show. And media. I watched the Batman film this week, and was it really a Batman film? I'll let you know in my thoughts down in the media, talking about the latest episode of Halo and Moon Knight also, peeps. So yeah, we're going to be no preview musics anymore, as we are just going to try and mix in stuff that we find interesting, I guess. Is that the way we're going to do it? I think so. We're in a bit of a rush this weekend because of the Easter madness, the Easter build-up, and we're getting ready for the back to school on Mondays and all that stuff. And just with an epic job going on here as a daddy and all that, the good stuff. Anyway, I hope you're having a fantastic week. I played this week the Incredible Oceans game, which is the Kickstarter game where you are developing your own fish species. Love that game. I managed to win. Ooh, it's always a tight affair, that game. It is really spectacular. But I'm looking forward to this week ahead when I get Tainted Grail out. We're going to start the campaign finally, so I can come away from the solo mode and go into the cooperative adventure. I think it's going to be apt to play that so I can get more thoughts on it as a cooperative adventure, especially with the Kickstarter next week coming on Kickstarter, which will be spectacular, it looks like, especially with Waste Night 2nd Edition expansion. That's going to be another expansion next week. It's going to be like, oh my god. Waste Night 2nd Edition, an absolutely incredible narrative post-apocalyptic game. That is really special. Anyway, let's crack on with today's show. I was a bit taken by a song this week. It's from the USA, from an artist called Lizzo, and her song's called About Damn Time. This really came out of the blue, but it's an absolute cracker. It's in the charts in the USA, and this one, you need to hear it. Oh, it's a classic song, that, isn't it? From Lizzo. I tell you, I'd love to give this girl a hug, but I don't think I could get round her. She's such a big lady. She's probably 3 times the weight I am as well. Goodness gracious, she's a big girl, but got a big voice, hasn't she, Lizzo? And I'm looking forward to seeing what else she brings out later this year. Anyway, peeps, what are we talking about here now? We're talking about that horror game, aren't we? Why's my notes disappeared? Slaughterville 3! Interesting title. Slaughterville 3 really is a villain expansion to the game. But the game is basically a cooperative horror game where you're trying to take down the baddie. This cooperative, taking down a baddie game, Final Girl is like solo mode. That's kind of popular as a Kickstarter game. You can back it on Gamefound, Final Girl. Well, if you want a co-op version of that, Slaughterville is where you need to go. It's really good. If you've got the main game, or Slaughterville 2, which is a standalone game, you can mix them all together though, you're basically putting 8 random locations down. You're picking a random villain, and you're selecting from a character pool. And each of these areas you put down has a special thing that happens that you go there. They all have their own decks. The deck is good and bad. So you'll be mining in that deck, trying to get the good stuff, whilst also trying to face the bad stuff. Meanwhile, the villain is bobbing around and bad stuff's happening. He has his own deck, which, she or she has got their own deck, or it has its own deck, and that will be, they'll be getting stronger and stronger as the game goes. It really is an interesting and fun madcap game. Expect to die and come back as a character. And oh my god, I've just selected a child and his stats are terrible. He's going to die as soon as he faces something horrible. Yeah, and you will die instantly if you pick the child. Yeah, you just re-roll as a different character. It's part of the fun, isn't it, of these horror movies that loads of people die. So, yeah, it is quite interesting. But it's always very tight. And every time I've played Slaughterville, the players around the table instantly want to know what the other villains are, because the mechanics are so well thematically written for each villain. It is fascinating to find out how the game will play with the other villains. When you tell them there's more locations to add to, so you'll also have different decks during the adventure, it just gets them so excited. Well, anyway, this is a great chance for people to get it back on Kickstarter. They are going to have the original Slaughterville 2, and this Slaughterville 3 is an easy instabag, because more villains, more fantastic greatness, and the villains as well. They've kind of been unveiling it on their Kickstarter. They're really interesting. You can check my video out on Kickstarter Radio 102.4 YouTube channel out, of course, where I spend a good time talking about this game, because I really do love it. It's a real indie title, a real gem on Kickstarter. And I think if you love horror movies, or you want a cooperative fun adventure that is you can play around Halloween, you've got to have Slaughterville in your collection, peeps. This is an absolute wonderful storytelling epic adventure where it's truly really good. Interesting table presence as well, and I think everybody will love it. Alright peeps, what we're talking about next will be the Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. But I'm going to play you Chanel with Slow Mo. She's from Spain, and this song is her Eurovision 2022 edition. I think this is a good chance of winning it, actually, Chanel, because this is a really, really good dance track. So take it away.
Let's go. Your video slow-mo.
This is Kiss 102.4.
Oh, that's an absolute cracker. And it's interesting because in the American Song Contest, they've got a couple of songs that are in Spanish too, as it is, of course, the official second language of the USA. So I hope you enjoyed that, especially if you understand the lyrics there. If not, it's an absolute beating track. I think it's a fantastic one, isn't it? Anyway, Sleeping Gods, that game that I had to cancel my pledge on because the shipping cost $130. Yikes, are you kidding me? It cost more than the bloody pledge. Anyway, it's back on Kickstarter. Is it Kickstarter? Gamefound. Distant Skies. This is a little bit like Near and Far 2.0, and they've got the shipping down to 50, so thankfully they've evolved their shipping prices, because everyone's saying shipping prices is on the up, but for Mexico it seems to be on the down. How about that? That's a surprise, but it's doing quite well actually, and I'm not surprised if you're backing this. There's so much competition this week that I don't know if this one is going to be something I'm going to back, because I'm after a science fiction version of Brian Lockett's world, and this feels a little bit too close to Near and Far. And even though some people are like, oh, it's not like Near and Far, the world is its theme, and like the way you move around on the map, you've got the plane to move to different maps, but it is similar. Yeah, they have unlocked other stuff as well, doing more stuff. I think the art is an upgrade from all the previous games as well, but it's coming straight off the back of Sleeping Gods. Like, the designer didn't stop. There's people thinking this guy's not took a break, and that's partly because he wanted to kind of, I guess, do a near and far version. He might, or his book. Hopefully he'll take a break after this one and do some research. And I think his next obvious move is science fiction, with the themes of what's coming down the world. You know, got the popularity of Halo, Star Trek's popular at the minute, Mandalorian's popular, other Star Wars franchises popular, and we've got Mass Effect TV show coming as well, which is going to be epic. So loads and loads and loads of good stuff. So yeah, Sleeping Gods. I'm not surprised if you are backing this. It's got the audio narration from Foreteller as well, which is like, oh goodness me, this is going to be fantastic. But I'll have to maybe late pledge it if we get a quiet summer. And you know, I really am expecting a quiet summer, because it's been such a heavy March and April for games, especially the ones we've covered on the channel. You wouldn't be remiss at backing all of these, but you know, you kind of got to I don't know, pick off some and leave some in the past and just forget about them. And I think Sleeping Gods might have to go on the back burner. It might go on my list of late backs, actually. It's what I might do. But if you want to get the Sleeping Gods game, the original Kickstarter, it is here on the pledge, but that's going to put you into the bananas pledge. I think it's around over $300 if you want everything, which is a pretty penny, you might say, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to be talking about Anastyr next, which is the big game from Mythic, the massive game from Mythic, who are a company in the Premier League of Kickstarters from the Renaissance that's going on in France with the Kickstarter board game companies there. Anyway, before we look at that, I was watching the American Song Contest this week. It was the 5th heat, and for me it was the weakest of the heats, to be frank, but there was one song that came out of it and it just blew my socks off. I couldn't believe how good it was. Ada Leanne is the artist. Her song called Natalie. Just sit back and enjoy this. What a fresh and original song. So yeah, take it away.
Dear Natalie, let me guess, he's still mad at me. I could never be.
Yeah, it's a good tongue-in-cheek song, that one. I do love it. Now, the Anastyr. This bloody Kickstarter. It's growing and growing, isn't it? I knew it was going to be one of Mythic's big whopping games that they've announced. A big expansion, haven't they? We'll talk about that in a minute. But what is the game? It's like Golden Axe, the game, where you've got heroes and you got 3 special abilities and ultimate that can build up as you're playing, as the fury increases, and then launch your big kind of ultimate thing. There's so much going on here. I really like it. It's getting very expensive though, and I think the first expansion that's coming out is just a taste of what's to come. It's kind of a ninja-ish 2 and a bit week Kickstarter campaign. And the first expansion that's coming out of the All-Mother's Secret at $55. This looks really good. Looks like going into the jungle here. The art on the tiles looks like best we've seen yet. And loads of phenomenal minis that are kind of jungle inspired. So it looks fantastic, this one. And really, you've got to double down on your Mythics, because they seem to deliver boxes upon boxes upon boxes in a giant box the size of a washing machine delivered to your house. But I think this one is going to be good because it's the first big campaign game in this sort. You can play it like solo scenario, but it's the campaign that's fairly interesting, because of course your characters are going to be upgrading all of the abilities and ultimates as you go through the campaign. So it's really, really nice. I think with this expansion though, it's definitely something you're going to want to add. So it's a case of how big is it going to get, and you might just have to $1 pledge it to get through and all that jazz. But there is a nice dragon expansion as well. If you collect dragon minis, The other thing I want to talk about is the stretch goals. They've started to unlock, it's the next one, is some huge rocks. So the terrain seems to, like, we're getting miniatures for terrain, which is great. They've been unlocking lots of different minis for the baddies in the world, and they've unlocked a new hero, which is nice and stuff. But it really is a massive Kickstarter. I won't be surprised if this reaches up at $300 plus, but we'll just have to see. I'm going to have to do a final thoughts on this game because it is so big and it's growing, and they've already got 15 updates, even though it's not even been on Kickstarter that long. So they've been knocking it out the park with stuff that they've been unlocking, and one of them calling a secret. They have a, what's it? I just remember what it's called. They called it the secret expansion. Yeah, that's the paid expansion add-on. Really, really good stuff. So yeah, Sleeping Dogs. That's the definite back for some people, I'm guessing. Anastyr, definite back for some people. You know, one of the best companies to do miniatures, and this is a real game that's using them all. You're not going to have miniatures on your shelf with Anastyr. They're all going to get used in the game, and it's lovely. And I don't know if I mentioned this in my original video, but the minis do pertain to the area that you're in. So you're only going to see those heroes if you're in that kind of land, which is kind of novel and unique. Still waiting to find out what the shop or caravan is, and I want a Brutosaur mini. I mentioned this when I do the Kickstarter critique, but yeah, the Brutosaur mini will lock me on the pledge here, because I haven't got a mythic game, but this has got me tickling with excitement, and that mini will be the cherry on the cake for me. The Brutosaur is like a dinosaur shop that travels around. Hopefully there's going to be a giant mini the size of the dragon that is the dinosaur Brutosaur, which of course has been inspired from World of Warcraft Battle of Azeroth, hasn't it? Anyway, this next song is from Michael Ben David. It's called I Am. It's called I.M, but he calls it I Am. He's representing Israel in this year's Eurovision contest, and it's a bit of a nod to the Kinky Boots Broadway show. If you like that musical, the transvestite with the kinky boots, question mark. It's almost as if this song was made for that character. Anyway, please enjoy this really thumping, funny take on the transvestite world from Michael Ben David.
Baby, sometimes life can bring you down, but honey, give it to me now.
Now, if you don't know the Kinky Boots Broadway thing, it was actually came from England originally, I believe, but it went over to the Americas, of course. But I think whatever version you listen to, it is really fantastic. It really is. And if you're lucky to go cruising, it might be one of the Broadway shows that is on the ship. And trust me, if you know the musical, if you're going on a cruise and there's a musical on the ship, listen to it beforehand so that when you do watch it, it's way more fun. That's my top tip, peeps, if you're cruising. Anyway, probably won't be cruising until 2023 with that vaccine requirement that's still going on. Ugh. Why are there still vaccine requirements when there's no bloody Delta virus? Everyone's got the Omicron. It's Omicron 2 now, isn't it? There's no vaccine for that. There's no hospitalizations. It's just absolute daft. There's still requirements, because I could have been going on a cruise this week if they dropped it. Talking about Norwegian cruise lines here, because yeah. Anyway, thankfully next year they are dropping all those requirements and all that good stuff. And hallelujah, we are season of getting back to normal, aren't we? Anyway, my Kickstarter of the week for sure, Assault on Doomrock Ultimate Edition. This has come to Gamefound, and it's like a brand new edition of the game, squeaking it all up and tightening up the art and everything. And it's come with some fantastic things like playmat and all of the gubbins you expect from a Kickstarter. I really enjoy how the gameplay works. It's basically a unique adventure where you're adventuring first through tiles, and these tiles are, for example, a lagoon or a tavern or something like this. And each of these big tiles has areas that you can go on, and in the adventure phase you only have a certain amount of time to do stuff, so that's kind of neat. And once you finish that kind of adventuring, you then go into the combat mode. And the reason I like this game so much is that the combat mode is so fresh and unique. You're not just fighting waves of monsters, it really mixes it up. And there's a good example of some of the playthroughs where you're fighting rotten tomatoes in a field. It's kind of bonkers and off the wall adventure that you're on. And it's not just fantasy based, it's kind of a smash up of all the different fantasy and sci-fi tropes out there. So you can have like a Valkyrie that has lasers and some kind of energy shield, and you can even ride a pig, for example. It's kind of off the wall. You know, look at a knight's helmet that's got 2 beer cans on the side. It's called something like the helm of intoxication. It's kind of funny. That's what I mean. It's like nice tongue-in-cheek to everything, and that's what I kind of enjoy about it. It's kind of the light-hearted feel, but it still feels like an adventure game, maybe in a Monty Python-esque world, and it looks really good. They're doing a design contest as well through the campaign. It's all on BGG, and I'm banned on BGG. Are you banned on BGG? What did I get banned on BGG for? It was posting replies with links to my videos. Apparently that's so heinous an activity that they banned me, and anyone from the station here, and including my family, is banned from becoming a member on BGG. I mean, that is as extreme as I would see in a fascist regime BGG. It's Board Game Geek, if you don't know what I'm talking about. That is outrageous. Anyway, babes. Oh, Doomrock. Please check out my video, because I do go on about this quite a lot, as there's lots to talk about on Assault on Doomrock. But if you got my Kickstarter of the week, that's why the video is one of the longest of the weeks. Because there was a lot to cover and wax lyrical over, and there's like 20 playable heroes, and the way you mix your heroes together, it makes them kind of silly. So you'll see in my long form video. You won't ever play an adventure game with the type of heroes you'll get in Doomrock. That's what kind of makes it fun. And the other thing is the miniature. There's no miniatures or standees. You've basically got discs, and they're making them into what's it called? Chips from a casino. Those things. and yeah, the combat's kind of most unique out of everything that I've seen. So it's yeah, nice and fun. Well, peeps, we'll be coming back talking a little bit of the Quest Kids, about the Overrated Kids Kickstarter, and I would keep away from that, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to pop the hype balloon on my video that I did. It's like my shortest video of the week. But we'll be talking about this kids game next. It's supposed to be a dungeon crawler, but yeah, as we've got like a good some good songs, I'm going to be pulling another good one. This is from the Eurovision 2020. It's Lumix featuring Pia Maria singing the song Halo, which is a good segue, because I'll be talking about Halo next in the media talk. Moon Knight also, and of course I will be talking more on my feelings of the Batman film. So look out for that after this incredible song from Lumix, and it comes from Austria, funnily enough. Yeah, you don't get many good songs from Austria in the Eurovision, but I think this one is a classic coming from them.
Let me be a halo, 'cause we've been through hell and back and all in one night.
The Quest Kids. The most overrated, hyped balloon of a kids game from Kickstarter. Art looks horrendous. It's not really a dungeon crawler. There's no campaign story. The minis look brutal. There's only heroes. All the enemies are on the cards. It's looking absolutely desperate. And how much? It's as expensive as Gloomhaven. Seriously, folks. Wait for Gloomhaven for kids, wait for Midara for kids, wait for Tanaris Adventures for kids, insert your favourite campaign, dungeon crawler, and add for kids on it, and wait for that. This is ridiculous. You want a dungeon crawler for kids so much, you're going to lower your standards to get the quest kids. It looks brutal. I don't want to put this on my kid. I want him to look at fantastic art. Catacombs, 3rd edition. That's what he's playing to get him into the dungeon crawl. And I'm probably, one after that will be Arkeis, which delivers this week because it's an Egyptian theme looking phenomenal. And the quest kids is like in a different world. It's in the bottom league of dungeon crawlers. It really is. It doesn't stand up there at all to be even considered a dungeon crawl. Never mind a Kickstarter dungeon crawl. It's just desperate measures, this bloody game. And this expansion, the time to get it all, it just looks like we heard what everybody wants, so we're giving you thicker tiles. It's like, are you kidding me? You think that's what people wanted? How about a real campaign? God, it's just like gun to the head. That's why on the video I put a picture of a bomb, which comes from the Kickstarter page, the bomb. It's time for the hype balloon on this to pop, because at the end of the day, I played this game with my kids and they loved it, so my review is tainted. Like, yeah, but you've not said in no reviews will you talk about where they'll say this is not a dungeon crawler. Like, it's bleedingly obvious what it is. It's more Euro game because you win the game by getting the most points, and there is gameplay mechanics where you're trying to help each other because you get rewarded for helping. It's desperate measures, peeps. And it really is a forgettable thing. But I didn't really want to do the video, but my wife left me a message on my desk saying I need to do a video on this because she felt that my subscribers wanted to know my feelings on this, because I love dungeon crawlers and this one claims to be one, but it's obviously a fake, isn't it? So yeah, we've had great Kickstarters this week. We've had Slaughterville. If you like horror movies, you owe it to yourself to get that game. Sleeping Gods, looking great. Redone art, looks fantastic. Lower shipping prices. That's going on my late pledge. Anastyr, looking amazing. Get me that Brutosaur mini, and I'm all over this one. And the expansion they brought out looks tantalizingly good. There's going to be more to drop, of course. Expect final thoughts on that one on the channel. And of course the amazing Assault on Doomrock, the quirky adventure with so much fun to be had. And then we get to Quest Kids, which is like, if you ever see that vampire on my splash screen on my Kickstarter channel, it really is like someone closing their eyes in disbelief how bad it is. So yeah, the vampire is on the splash screen. It's like a nod to it. And if you ever see the Joker holding up something, that means there's something in the game suspect. Like, is this a joke? Like the Last Light video. Is this a joke? Like the card the Joker's holding up is like for the alien design in Last Light. Brutal, what I called it. But here with the Quest Kids, even worse, isn't it? Because it's not just a few cards that you're not happy with. It's like the whole art needs refresh. Oh. Anyway, indie title, just forget about it. If you've got kids, just wait for that big game. And if you don't want to wait, there's Catacombs 3rd edition, which is easy to learn, but has real depth to it. That's what I suggest. Anyway, peeps, there's been some great female singers today from the Eurovision and American Song Contest, but this one from the American Song Contest from Alexis Cunningham, Working on a Miracle, is still up there. It's one of my favourite songs of the year, and so I'm gonna have to play this to you. I played it on my podcast a few weeks ago, but it deserves to come back to join this collection this week as been playing some of my favourite songs of 2022 here, peeps, if you've not noticed. And so yeah, Alexis Cunningham working on a miracle. What a great sound for this song. After this, peeps, I will be coming back looking at media, Halo, Moon Knight, and of course my thoughts on the Batman film.
I'm working on a miracle.
This is Case 102.4.
Now let's talk about the Batman film first, because even though I've got negative opinions on it, I don't want to be too harsh on it because it's part of a trilogy outside of the extended universe that they're trying to create. They're actually calling it World 2.0, as if they've got a reset button if it all goes wrong. Like it's all gone wrong for the Marvel. They've got an official reset button. Anyway, it should have really been called Batman, the story of his... It's not really Batman, is it? I mean, he doesn't even call himself Batman in the movie. There's not many Batman things in it, is it? There's like 3 Batman moments in the movie that I can remember that were like, yeah, Batman, go for it. When he jumps off the building in his bat suit, that was great. The bit near the end when he stabs himself with the toxic rage, but that only lasts like 10 seconds, but it looks fantastic. It's like, yeah, coming from the video games, and hopefully we'll get to see that in the sequel. And right at the end, when potentially everyone's going to get electrocuted, if you've not seen the movie, I don't think this is a spoiler, he kind of does this heroic leap of faith, which is like really, really good. But as part of the detective stuff that Batman's doing, like, could you not have put anybody in instead of Batman, any other hero? Like, he's not really offering much to it. He's not getting to anybody fast. They all keep dying, and I'm guessing the only reason he's involved in all this because the Riddler is addressing Batman he's like embroiling him in it. So anyway, everyone's like raving at how good Gotham City looks, but it's like, spoiler alert by the way, doesn't Gotham City get destroyed? This is World 2.0. They're going to have to rebuild the city as soon as the levees got burst and as big tsunamis destroyed the city. So that's kind of what's going to be exciting about the next Batman in this trilogy, that you're going to see a new, different, modern Gotham, which is tantalizingly good. And if I'm seeing this as part 1, I'm actually quite interested, because all the stuff that he is in this movie, he will get better and will become the Batman we love. And so the growth potential, and that's why it might be good, because if you look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the first movie wasn't that good of an adventure fantasy, was it? But when you put the 3 together, you might like it. I didn't like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, actually. I thought it was heresy. They changed it around, and the artistic license in that movie was way too much. And I think Tolkien, in his grave, will be still screaming about what they did in that movie. And yeah, anyway, let's hope the Amazon, with the Lord of the Rings TV show, actually give it some goodness. They did the Wheel of Time really well, so let's fingers crossed the big budget of Lord of the Rings is going to be good. Apparently it's going to be like a pre-story, and all the stories that they're telling in Lord of the Rings, like in the pub, that's what's going to be played out in the TV show coming this year. I watched Halo. We're up episode 5 now. There's going to be 9 of them, so I was sat in the middle and I'm like, this is like 34-minute long, like I'm getting shortchanged here. But it was obviously an expensive episode. There's like a full-on action sequences with special effects, explosions, etc. And it looked really, really good. I'm loving how the story's going. There's 2 stories, you could say, playing out, or maybe 3 if you put the aliens on the bill. But it is looking really, really good. Halo, there's a second series for it. It's got so much potential, and it's kind kind of my favourite TV show at the minute, Halo. And that's me not obviously knowing anything about the video game. In fact, I will be doing the video game as soon as I get a RTX 4000 series card in my machine, because my PC Gamer Radio YouTube channel has gone quiet because my RTX, it's not an RTX, the GTX 980 can only run World of Warcraft at the minute, and I don't want to trust it on anything else. Anyway, Halo, if you've not been watching it, peeps, and you like sci-fi, you need to get on this. It's like, it's way up there, sitting right next to The Mandalorian. And because Star Wars has a lot of hang-ups, like people have got problems with the Star Wars, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you've got kind of problems with it. You come in at Halo with like a blank piece of paper, right? You've not got anything against it, or hang-ups, or hangovers. And I think that's why it's fresh, and the world building is amazing. And what you see in episode 5 is kind of it's like, yeah, Master Chief is good, but look what he's just seen. Yeah, he's got a boss to deal with coming up, and that looks really interesting, especially as he's like, I don't know, the boss, was he like 10 meters tall? It looked like, oh my god, Master Chief, what? How are you going to take him down? Not played the video game, so I've got no idea how that'll roll, but... Alright, let's talk about Moon Knight, shall we? Now, Moon Knight... I was talking to my gaming group, and I said to them, I've been trying to tell you this for a week about Moon Knight, but we keep talking about other stuff. There's only going to be 6 episodes. And they're like, what? Yeah, so we're almost finished. This was a really good tomb raiding episode, actually. Episode 4. Like, going inside of tombs and things. I thought it was really fun. And I'm guessing if a lot of people are watching this and it turns out to be good, I'm pretty sure it's going to go into a movie in some way. I think Disney have said they want to kind of test heroes out in the TV before doing a movies. For example, the WandaVision. Well, Wanda from that TV show was popular enough to put her in the next movie from Marvel with the Wizard guy. Hint, hint. Don't know. Is that a spoiler? I don't know. Watch the trailer. She's in prison, actually. And I'm not finished watching WandaVision. I might have to finish that off because my wife just interest bombed on that, and I didn't end up finishing it. So I think I might go back to that. And because I was enjoying it, even though it was kind of quirky in its nature. But yeah, Moon Knight looking great, because I don't think they're going to have time in the TV series to defeat the monster, the god, the evil god that they're trying to resurrect. And I think that's where it might set up a movie or series. I don't know where it's going to go. But it is interesting. We're seeing less of the Moon Knight, by the way, in this story. Less of the abilities of the Moon Knight, and it was more of a lore builder, more lore building into the character, episode 4. And so that's why Moon Knight doesn't feel like a comic book Marvel, because it's doing everything it can to stop it becoming that. So I think if they just get rid of that big Marvel intro at the beginning with all the Marvel heroes getting represented, and I know they're doing it with the Star Wars stuff as well, just get on with it for God's sake, these giant Star Wars and Marvel intros. Do we really... That's why I've dropped intros from my videos on YouTube, because they're so boring. Just get on with it. They're even doing it with football now in the UK. They're giving it a big intro, and it's like, just get on with the bloody thing. Anyway, Moon Knight, please check it out. If you think it's just a good story from comic book world, but it's less comic book hero, it's comic book story, I think you'll enjoy it a little bit more. It's got the gods of Egypt and all that good stuff in it. And I do like the female character that is... that's in it. I don't want to spoil too much of Moon Knight, because I think that's also good. But between Halo and Moon Knight, that's the top biggest TV that you've got going at the minute. I did watch Picard Season 2 Episode 1, but right at the end of it, I got a "This is what to expect" on Season 2. And that little preview that they played ruined it for me, because what I saw, I'm like, I don't really want to watch a Star Trek when it goes back in time and puts Picard in modern times. There's nothing sci-fi about that. It's just stupid. If you've been watching Picard Season 2 and you really like it, please let me know, because that's put me off the whole second season. I can't believe NBC, whoever it is, did that mock-up at the end of it. It's like, dear God, talk about ruining it for me. But I guess they'd give me a favour, because it showed what it was going to be, and I'm like, that's not sci-fi. Not sci-fi enough. Whereas Halo, that is sci-fi with a cherry on the top. Moon Knight is a comic book story with a cherry on the top, with less about heroes but more about the comic fantasy world. I like it. So yeah, interesting stuff, peeps. Well, it looks like this week on Kickstarter is going to be an expansion special week, but we'll see. Might be some interesting surprises on Kickstarter and Gamefound, of course. But yeah, let me know what you've been playing, and I did take my plans there in the week. I'm going to be rolling out Tainted Grail. I did all in pledge for that monster game, so I've yet to go through the expansions because I really want to go through them cooperatively, so that should be delicious to do, peeps, and all that good stuff. The YouTube channel is around about 890 subscribers now. We're pushing on to 900, which is going to be amazing, and I'm hoping for a secret special giveaway when we get to 1,000 subscribers. That's going to be a good surprise, I think, for all my subscribers. So you peeps on the podcast, get over to the YouTube channel and subscribe, please, and help and all that good stuff. We've got an interesting season ahead, I think, on Kickstarter. It usually goes quiet in the summer and then explodes in the autumn and all that good stuff. In fact, it continued into December, didn't it, last year? It was kind of a nervy one. But I think a lot of games that are, that were planned through COVID times and they were just worked on. That's why we're getting kind of these bigger games coming out in 2022. They were just put on the back burner. But as people are coming back to work and people are getting money again, that's when they are starting to pull these big ones. And if you look at the Anastyr Kickstarter as an example, that's going to be pushing 1 million, I'd say. So it's getting big, isn't it? And all that good stuff. And how are you with your Kickstarters that you've kickstarted? I mean, they're all mega late, but we're starting to get drip feeds now from factories, aren't we? That they're actually starting to print stuff, so they're going to show us. Like Frosthaven's still not showing us anything that's been made from the factory. That's hopefully coming in this next week. And it's getting close to getting all these delivered, people. It's going to be like the best year ever for getting games delivered and fulfilled from Kickstarter. So yeah, absolutely amazing. And I just want to take this extra time on the video just to talk about is board games, because I don't see board games as like an infinite thing that you can collect. I think it's going to get to a point where you've collected, maybe, I'm looking at my own collection thinking like a 10-year cycle, and then that'll probably end. Because all the new games after that are going to be similar to your Kickstarters. And the Kickstarters that you're getting are so well produced and got so much content and look absolutely amazing that... Is it going to be like music? You've got a full music collection from the 70s, and then when the 80s came, you weren't really interested in the 80s music. But your friends were, so you go around your friend's house and he's collecting 80s music, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to be going around to your friend's house for a board game because they've got the next era of board games. I'm thinking that's what it is, but thankfully we're going for a golden age, aren't we? So I think this decade of collecting is the best one we've ever seen, peeps. So yeah, love to know your comments on that. Love to read your comments, please, in the description. If you are on YouTube, you've missed some amazing music, just hit the podcast button or the link in the description and download the, or you can watch it, wherever you can watch it from the podcast. So you can stream it. And there has been some amazing music. And I'm going to finish the show this week with poor Cisco. The artist Cisco, who claims he was the first black person in the noughties to actually dye his hair white. Anyway, Cisco, I do feel sorry for you. He's like a big artist, and the judges went. We're going to find out tomorrow, as this is going out on Sunday. We'll find out on Monday if he got voted in from the people. But his song, I'm going to be playing next. This is the one that the judges didn't like. But hopefully his fan base will vote him in. But it's going to be difficult because it's 50% coming from the judges, 50% from the public, and this needs a lot of views. This needs a lot of people ringing it to get Cisco qualified. But there is the back door to the semi-final. Anyway, if you've not been watching the American Song Contest, peeps, semi-final on Monday. It's going to be really good, and if you can't be bothered even watching the semi-final, the finals looking to be spectacular, just as the Eurovision Song Contest finals are always spectacular too. And I'm still thinking the winner will go to who won it? Why is my mind saying France? Where's the Eurovision this year going to? My brain. I'm an absolute massive Eurovision fan and I can't remember where it's going. That's desperate, isn't it, peeps? Well, it is late, this podcast, and all that stuff. Just Google it, peeps. You don't need to hear where it is from me, do you? Anyway, peeps, hope you enjoyed the music this week, and I'd love you to check out my channel and look at some of these games, because it's just spectacular games this week, all worth your interest. So different, so incredible, and totally games you want to play. Apart from the kids' quest, of course. So yeah. Anyway, peeps, you take care, stay safe. I've been your host, Lipstickpaddy. This has been Broadcast, the official podcast from Kickstarter Radio 102.4's YouTube channel. So you take care, stay safe, and bye for now.